In this video segment, I will show you how to compare the return distribution of a stock called 3M in the New York Stock Exchange against a normal distribution. Now, to begin, of course, we need to download the data file, and you can download it from Yahoo Finance. So this the file name is MMM.csv, and you can see that it consists of 7 data fields. The first one is the date. The second data field is the opening price. The third data field, the high price for the day. The next one, low price of the day, and then followed by the closing price of the day, the volume traded for the day, as well as the adjusted closing price. For this comparison, we will only need the date as well as the adjusted closing price. Now, when you download, it's important to note that the CSV file will contain a header file that tells you what each of the field is. But this is inconvenient to load into MATLAB or Octave, so I added a percentage to make MATLAB and Octave treat this line as a comment and therefore not read it in at all. So now we're ready to import the data. So we first start up Octave, and you can start up MATLAB if you have MATLAB. Octave is starting. Okay, now we load the data into an array called data. So MMM.csv, let's load it, and you can see that it has successfully loaded, except that the month and the year is made negative because of the dash in the CSV file, but we can easily correct this. Let's make the second column positive by taking its negative value. So now the month is positive, and we should do the same for the days. Equals to minus data colon 3. Now it is correct. So let's create a time array called T, and this we can create using the datenum function because it is not easy to plot directly against the year, month, and day. We need to have a running index for the days. So this can be easily obtained by using the datenum function. So if we take out the first three columns, of data, we will pick out the year, month, day, and then it will convert it into the number of days from the beginning of the common era, which is 0 AD. So you can see also the unpleasant thing is that Yahoo likes to order its data in reverse chronological order. We need to order it properly so that we can plot it. So this can be done using this kind of a construct here. You start from the last element in the array and go backwards in steps of 1 until you reach the first element. And if you do this, now it is sorted in chronological order. Now we need to get the closing price. Closing price is the last column in data. If you know that it is column number 7, you can put in column number 7. If you do not know, you just type N and it will pick out the last one for you. Okay, so this is the last one, but again it is also in reverse chronological order. So let's do the same thing to get it in chronological order. Okay, now it is in chronological order. We can plot it to see what it looks like. So this is the price time series of 3M, and it looks like this. Okay, so the start of the data is actually 1970. So you see, shortly after the start of its trading, it reached a high point of close to $160 per stock, and then after that it slumped, and it came back up again, slumped, came back up again, slumped, came back up again, and this current at present it seems to be going for a new high, but who knows when it will slump again. But that's not what they were interested in. We are not interested in the price. We're interested in the return. Now, if you remember, the return is defined as the price at day t plus 1 minus the price at day t divided by the price on day t itself. So to get this return, so first we get the difference between successive days in the price time series. We can do this using the built-in function diff, and it will give us the differences between one day's price and the previous day's price. Now we need to divide to get the return, but we cannot simply do this. because it will complain that the two arrays have different sizes, and this is understood because for the difference we take two time points to just create one. So in the end we will be one different short of the number of the data points in the price. So what we can do here, again, if we don't remember what the final number is, we can just put n minus 1. Okay, so this will give us the correct return, and you see that the first day's return is about 6%, second day's return is about 1%, and so on and so forth. So again, we can also plot plot the return time series, and it's complaining that it has different, that they don't have the same length. So let's do this again, and now they have the same length. And you can see that, for most of the time the return fluctuate within a very small narrow region, but there are some days that it has a large positive spikes, and then there are other days where there are incredible negative drops, and these drops are on the order of minus 0.5, which means that if you own this stock, then you lose 50% of your stock value in just one day. So this is incredible, and of course we can zoom in a little bit, T1 Tn and minus 0.2 to 0.2 to see it more clearly, and see that the range of the fluctuation is about 0.02, so about 2% kind of a standard deviation. But of course we don't want to plot this, we want to plot the histogram. And histogram you can plot the histogram of the return very easily if you just do his_r. But because the default number of bins that the histogram function uses is 10, so you get only these few bins, and most of the data is concentrated in these two bins. Of course, you can make it look nicer if you choose to use 100 bins. Okay, it looks nicer, but it is not easy to actually convert the histogram plot into a semi-log, so that we can directly compare the normal distribution with the empirical distribution. So we're going to create our own histogram. So we have to create our own bins. Now we can set our bin centers to be from minus 0.5 in steps of 0.005 all the way to 0.2. Now if we do this, then there will be 141 such bin centers. Now the bin, of course, each bin has a width of 0.005. So if the bin center is at 0.2, then we will have to the lower and upper limits of the bin will be plus and minus 0.0025. So let's find the number of returns that are in each bin in this way. So for n equals to 1 to 141, FBN in bin n. So in bin n, the number of returns that are in this range must satisfy two conditions. First, it must be higher than larger than the lower limit of the bin, which is RBN, the bin center, minus 0.0025, and it must be at the same time lower than the upper limit of the bin, which is RBN plus 0.0025. Okay, so now we're ready. Put an n, and it computes, and you can even see what it looks like. So here is for very negative returns. You find very few returns that actually have these kind of values. But as you go towards very small returns, you see much larger ones here. So again, we can bar this RB and FB, and it will give you a histogram that looks like the one we have plotted. But more importantly, we can actually plot this now in a semi-log plot, semi-log Y. So just the frequency we log it, then RBFB. You can see that now it has this particular shape. Okay, it doesn't quite look like a Gaussian because it doesn't look quadratic at all. Here at near the maximum of the distribution, it looks very sharply peaked, and this looks more like a straight line than a quadratic curve. Okay, so and also because this is frequency, it is not convenient to directly compare against the normal distribution. So we should work out the empirical probability density. So PB it will be equals to FB divided by the sum of FB, sum over FB. Okay, multiplied by the width of each bin, and this will give us the probability density. We can do a semi-log, but instead of FB, we can plot PB. Okay, so this is the probability density that we can directly compare against the normal distribution. And let's zoom in a little bit more. to look at this more carefully. So 1e minus 2 to 1e2. Okay, so this is the one that we want to compare. Let's hold it so that we can plot the normal distribution on top of it. Now for the normal distribution, let's plot so P norm. But in order to plot the P norm, we have to first ask ourselves, what is the normal distribution that we're going to compare this with? Obviously, we must compare it against a normal distribution that has the same mean and the same variance. Now, the mean of this of all the returns in this time period is 1.87 times 10 to the minus 4. So it's not zero, and it's positive, but it's very, very small compared to the typical fluctuations in the market. So it's okay. And then the standard deviation is 0.017, so it's close to the 2% that we have estimated visually earlier on. So now we can create P norm, and this is an exponential minus the bin centers minus mu squared divided by 2 sigma squared, okay, closing, and then divided by square root 2 pi sigma squared. Okay, so this is the normal distribution. We can now plot it, and since the graph is already in semi-log, we can use just the plot function. So RB and P norm, but in order to distinguish it against the empirical distribution, let's choose to plot the thing in red. So here it is. Okay, so you can see that when you compare the empirical return distribution against the normal distribution, the empirical distribution is more sharply peaked near very small returns. This feature, this feature in the return distribution is called leptokurtosis, and you also see that for very large returns, for both very large positive and very large negative returns, they decay slower than the normal distribution, and we call these features fat tails. So now that you know how to use Octave or MATLAB to do the comparison, feel free to download the historical data for a stock from Yahoo Finance and play with it a bit. Thank you.